So yesterday we have started with this chapter on kingdom Animalia, and we have talked about the first thing, that is the basis of classification of the organisms into different phylums in the kingdom Animalia. Now today we are going to continue with that, and we are going to talk about some of the phylums. Again, we are going to talk from the most primitive or most simple phylum, and we'll go on to more and more complex phylums. Now, when we are learning these things, try to keep in mind the most simple features and the more advanced feature that we had talked yesterday, and see how these features are actually getting added or getting changed when we go from a a slightly primitive group to a slightly advanced group. So first we'll start with the phylum Porifera. So let me share you with the screen. Just a minute. Okay, so let's start. Okay, I think the red color looks better. So to start with, always what we'll do, we'll talk about few of the basic features that we have described yesterday, including the level of organization, symmetry, and the body cavity, that is your coelom and germ layers. So to start with, when we talk about the phylum Porifera, it is the most primitive one, and what we see a cellular level of organization. Remember, when we're talking about cellular level, we're not talking about a tissue. Instead, it is simply a group of cells, and that is why they are not tissue. They're not tissue, they are simply cells which are organized together to form the organism. Now, in this case, when we talk about the symmetry of the organism, right, a mirror image, left and right, we talked about yesterday. Here, we do not see symmetry in most of the organisms. So, most of them are asymmetrical, while some of them are radially symmetrical, but more common is asymmetric. Now, germ layers, we don't see any germ layers because there is no tissue level organization or even organ level of organization. So because of that, as we are going to have a cellular level of organization, the germ layers is simply cannot be defined here. Now, coelom, as you know, acoelomate is the most primitive trait. So in this group of primitive organisms, primitive phylums, the coelom or body cavity is acoelomate, right? That's the point. Now you can see here some of the examples that we see, and we'll talk about some of the examples there, and you can understand why it is going to be asymmetrical, right? Because we cannot simply find a symmetry, for example, in this case. In some case, we do find it. We'll talk about that. Now, when we talk about the habit and habitat, you have to understand that most of them are marine in nature, right? And they are sedentary, that is, they're attached to a substrate, and some of them are solitary and some of them are colonial. Solitary means they live in a single, right? Solitary means single, and colonial means in group. So they can live either solitary or colonial, and they typically are attached, or they are typically called sedimentary animals. And again, remember, they are not freshwater animals, they are marine animals. Now, the digestive system in this case is absent, because to have a digestive system in an organism, the organism must have tissue or organ level of organization. So here what happens is, the cells are involved, so in intracellular digestion. So digestion is going to take place inside the cell. I tell you that specialized cells which are present, which is going to help in the process of digestion. So respiratory system, of course, is absent. Circulatory system, of course, it is again absent. Now, when we talk about the reproduction, here reproduction, it can be by asexual mode, that is by fragmentation, or by sexual mode. Now here, the male and female sex are not different. Instead, they are the same, right? So here they are called hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite means you'll get both male and the female, right? So this symbol is for the female and this symbol is for the male. I hope you might be knowing that. So both the male and female structure sex organs are going to be present on the same organism. Again, you will learn that when we go to the higher organisms, this is going to be separate. The sex organs are separately formed in two different organisms. Again, that's something is going to be an advanced feature. Now here, the fertilization takes place inside the organism. The site is called internal fertilization, and the development is going to take place through an larval stage, and that's why it is called indirect development. So there are two types of development. One is called direct development. In case of direct development, what happens? There is no larval stage. But in this case, what we are going to have? We're going to have a larval stage, and this larval stage is going to be different compared to the adult stage. The adult stage is going to be quite distinct when compared to the larval stage, and that is why it is called indirect development in case of these organisms. So you can see here a simple representation is given here about the process of the what do you call reproduction in case of sponges. Okay. Now, what is the unique feature of the organism? Always remember, entire phylum that you're going to study about, there are going to be certain unique features of this or each of the phylum. So here, what is the unique feature? Unique feature is the presence of water canal system. Okay, water canal system. What is that? Try to understand. The entire porifera, right? Porifera here, I have to understand these are the pore-bearing animals. Right, from pore-bearing animals. Now, pore-bearing animal means the entire body here is going to be perforated. So as you can see here, the water, this is the organism, and you can see the entire body is having small pores here. You can see everywhere the entire pores are there. Now the water is going to enter through this pore. What do you call these pores? And these pores are called the ostia. These are called ostia. So these pores, right, which are there is called ostia. As already it is labeled. So this ostia allows the water to actually get in, and it is going to go out of the organism through the opening called osculum. The top opening here, it is called the osculum. So water moves in, as you can see, and it is going to go out. Now, what is the point, or why it is necessary? Why this water canal system is necessary? Now, here, as you know, that there is no system, no digestive system, no respiratory system. The organism needs to take care of its own nutrient requirement. So when the water is going in through these pores, it is going to also take some of the food particles or the microbes, let's say, and also it is going to help in the gases exchange and also for the removal of waste material. So the water, when it is going in, it is going to take in the food and the required oxygen, and when it is going out, it goes out with the waste materials. So it is kind of helping in respiration, digestion, and also excretion. Very primitive system that is going to help the organism in this way. So let's see what happens here. You can see the lining here. Okay, these are called the porocytes, which are going to help in the pores, which are the pores are present, and you can see this is the osculum here, and here the water enters. But if you see, there are specialized cells called the collar cells or the choanocytes, and you have the amoebocytes. Now, both these collar cells or choanocytes and the amoebocytes are going to help in the actual process of digestion of the food, absorption and digestion of the food. So as you can see here, when the water actually moves here, the collar that is there, right? This collar cell we call it, right? This is the choanocytes. Right, this is a choanocyte. So when the choanocytes collars, these will attach the food particles because they are having the mucus in them. The mucus is sticky, slimy, so that will catch the food particles, and this one then is going to feed it to the, obviously transfer it to the amoebocytes. Sorry, and these amoebocytes are going to help in digestion of the food particles. So that is how the collar cells are going to help. Anyways, so let's continue. Now, what the entire body is made up of, because we need certain skeletal system, right, to support the entire organism. So in this case, what happens is there's an endoskeleton, or this support, body support is provided by something your spicules and spongin fibers. So the spicules and spongin fibers, they're going to line the entire body of the organism, right? So as you can see here, this is the outer surface, and here what you see, glass like spicules and the spongins together, they're going to form this entire structure that is going to help the organism to get support. So spicules and spongin fibers together help the organisms in giving the support to the organism. Now, if we talk about examples, we have the example of cycon, right? It's a real image, very simple cycon. Then you have spongilia, which is called freshwater sponge, right? This is the image probably you get in the textbook. This is a real image. And then you have the euspongia, right? That also you can see. These are some of the examples of the poriferans. Very simple pore-bearing organisms, right? This entire thing in summary, we don't have to worry about. Now the next phylum that we're going to talk about is phylum Cnidaria. Now here the level of organization is going to be tissue level, symmetry is going to be radial. Remember, in the previous case it was asymmetric. Now we have moved to radial, slightly advanced feature. Now when we go from here to the next one is going to be bilateral. Remember, bilateral in higher organism, it is going to be an advanced feature, right? But here what we see radial feature, which is an improvement over the asymmetric condition, asymmetric symmetric. So germ layers here are diploblastic, as you can see here, because you have the tissue level organization. That is why we are getting the diploblastic nature. Now diploblastic means you're going to have the two layers, ectoderm and endoderm. We are not going to have the mesoderm. We are instead going to have the mesoglia. Okay, no mesoderm here. And coelom, body cavity, is going to be absent. So when you get organ system level organ system level of organization, that time we'll get coelom. Otherwise, it is going to be acoelomate. There is no need for the coelom to be present. So as you can see, radial symmetry and the diploblastic germinal layers also they have tried to show. So you have the endoderm and you have the ectoderm properly developed, and in the center instead you are going to have the mesoglia and the mesoderm, right? So let's move on to the habit and habitat. What you see here, again, most of them are going to be marine. Some of them are free living, freshwater. So they are aquatic in nature, and they are sessile. Sessile means they cannot move, or free swimming. Sessile means they are fixed or they cannot move. And then solitary, as I said, they are fixed, right? Solitary means they are either single or they can appear in group, or that is called the collineal form. So they can be solitary or they can be in groups. Again, digestive system is incomplete because you're going to have a single opening for the food to enter and also for the waste material to be removed. So here what happens, we have the intracellular as well as extracellular digestion. Respiratory system is absent, circulatory system is absent. See, both of these will be absent until and unless we are going to have an organ level of organization. Remember that. So you can see here that these are the basically hydra, and tentacles going to help in capturing the prey for the food requirements, and the feeding is going to happen through the mouth. And then here there is the gastrovascular system, this particular area, where you are going to have the digestive enzyme released, and that is going to digest the food particles. And again, the food is going to be engulfed and they are going to be assimilated for the requirement of food. Very simple process. So reproduction here is something different, right? It is very important, right? Again, many times it is asked in examination. So here what happens is there are two forms, polyps and there is medusa. So the polyform is going to reproduce asexually, that is by budding, right? So what you see here, it is a polyform, right? This is a polyform. Now your medusa form is like an umbrella shaped structure. They are typically umbrella shaped structure, medusa form, and they reproduce sexually. And most of them have a separate sex. And here, fertilization is going to be external and development is going to be indirect. That means there is an larval stage which is going to be involved. So as you can see here, this is our polyp stage. It reproduces asexually by, let's say, the budding, right, asexually, and then it can enter the sexual form to the medusa, right. It basically gives rise to the sexual form through medusa form. So medusa here is going to be sexually reproducing, whereas polyp is asexually reproducing. Now, what is something unique? Here we see the tentacles, as I was talking about, and these tentacles have the nidoblasts, which are also referred to as nidocytes, and that's why the name Cnidaria, phylum Cnidaria. And these are called the stinging cells because it is going to be having a poisonous fluid in them, and that is called the poisonous fluid capsule is called the nematocyst, and this is used for anchorage, defense, and to capture the food particles. So as you can see here you see the nematocyst, and it is going to be the thread. So there is a small mechanism that is given. This is a tentacle. When we actually zoom in, we see this entire structure and these small protrusions. These are the triggers, and the moment they are triggered or they are coming in contact, they basically release the entire coil or thread, right? And this thread is going to release the poison, and the prey is actually captured or defense, capture or defense, any of the requirement. So there is a gastrovascular cavity and the cylindron with an opening called mouth on the hypostome. So here a single opening, both, that is the mouth and anus. That is why it is called incomplete digestive system. Incomplete digestive system. And that is why what you see here, you see the gastrovascular cavity in this area, and this is the hypostome. This is the polyp form, and this is the medusa form. In medusa form, it is reversed, right? Mouth and anus are here. Then there is the same gastrovascular cavity, gastrodermis, mesoglia, epidermis. All of these are there again. Diploblasty, remember that. So as we already talked about, there are two forms called polyps in medusa. Polyp is tubular attached asexual form with upwardly directed mouth and tentacles. For example, you are having the example as Hydra and Adamantia. Now medusa is umbrella-like, inversed, free-swimming sexual form with downwardly directed mouth and tentacles. You have the jellyfish or the Aurelia as the examples for it. Now, in case when you write the NEET examinations, these examples are very important of every phylum. This is an extremely important chapter of this particular unit. So try to, when you write examination, try to remember these examples. Now, what happens? The alternation of generation between the polyp and medusa in the cnidarians, this is called metagenesis, right? So some cnidarians in which the polyps produce medusa asexually and medusa form polyps sexually. For example, in case of Obelia, right? What we have been talking about, alternation of generation between polyps and medusa form, this is called metagenesis. Again, is a favorite question during the NEET examination or even the board exam, your 11th class examination, right? So here you see the corals, right? Corals are again an example of that, and they're made up of calcium carbonate. You can see mushroom corals, brain corals, metaphor, right? Tubifora. Then you can see again another example of that, staghorn coral. Then another one, table coral, right? Different types of the corals are actually present. This is the brain coral, right? The pillar corals, Great Barrier Reef of Australia is very common. You get this in the internet also, right? Very commonly available. Again, you can see Hydra, right? Then Obelia. Then you have Portuguese man of war. There is Physalia. Again, this common name and scientific name. A lot of questions in the NEET. Adamantia or sea anemone. Then Penatula, sea pen. Okay. Some time back, there was a what you call WhatsApp forwards on this. They are telling that is something unique feature. They connected it to God and religion and some nonsense message they were creating. Actually, it is nothing but it is a sea pen. Then you have the sea fan. then there is Gorgonia, and Medinina, that is the brain corals. Now again, remember these are very important from the aspect of the examination, especially the NEET examination. Let summarize. So tissue level organization, radial symmetry, diploblastic, acoelomate. Aquatic, most of them are marine, some of them freshwater. Sessile, free living, solitary, and colonial. Digestion is incomplete because you have one opening for mouth and anus. Intracellular and extracellular digestion. Respiratory system and circulatory systems are absent. Reproduction is by polyps, asexual, and medusa, sexual. And unique feature is the tentacles present in these organisms, which is going to contain the nidoblast cells, which is going to contain the poison, which is help to capture or kill the prey and also to obtain the food. Then they are the calcium, calcium carbonate based endoskeleton, and examples you have already seen number of them. Now let's move to the next one, that is the Ctenophora. Okay, are you able to understand these, students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, let's move then next one. So we are going to come to the next phylum, that is phylum Ctenophora. So what you see here again is a tissue level of organization, and here the symmetry is going to be radial symmetry. There's no difference, same thing. And germ layer again is going to be diploblastic. It's all the same like the previous group. Now coelom is going to be acoelomate. There is no body cavity, right? Coelom is going to be referred to as body cavity. There is no body cavity. Again, I will remind you that when we are going to have the organ, typically then we can see the body cavity or the coelom. Otherwise, there is no need of the body cavity. And anyway, you can see an example also. You see this unique organism, all right, where you see the structures. You see the tentacles, and you see this unique features of the comb plate. There is they're organized into this organism. The comb plates here also you can see. You don't see this in any other phylums. Next, you have the habit and habitat. Again, they are marine and the solitary and pelagic. Next, you are going to have digestive system that is going to be incomplete. Okay.
Sir, pelagic means what, sir?
Okay. Hello. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So incomplete and intracellular and extracellular digestion. Now respiratory system again is going to be absent. Digestive system also is going to be, circulatory system also is going to be absent in this case. Next, reproduction is only sexual. There is no asexual mode of reproduction here, and the hermaphrodite, that is both the male and the female sex organs are present in the same organism. And the fertilization is going to be here external, and development is indirect. Again, that is you're going to have the larval form which are present here. Now, what is the unique feature here? Unique feature is the ciliated comb plates that are present. So locomotion is by 8 vertical external rows of ciliated comb plates, and here tentacles are also present. So you can see these are the comb plates, and you can see that okay, here also you can see the complex, and with that you're going to have the external. Okay, these appearance are there, these lines are there. Through these they can actually move. So here under the image you see complete, right? You can see also here there is this small out, what do you call, the external structure, which is going to help in movement in these organisms. And some of them have the ability of bioluminescence, that is they can emit light from the body. So you see even in that case, in case of the fireflies, you see the bioluminescence property, they can emit light. Next, you are going to have the examples of the Pleurobrachia, and you have the Ctenoplana. Both are the examples of this particular phylum. So let's move to the next one, that is phylum Platyhelminthes, also known as the flatworm. So here you see for the first time organ and organ system of organization, right? And one of the most common example of that is going to be the tapeworm and the planaria. Tapeworm and Planaria are common examples. Platyhelminthes, flatworm we call it. So here what we see is for the first time bilateral symmetry, and you have to understand that the body is typically dorsi-ventrally flattened, right? So when we say dorsi, from the dorsal side and the ventral side, they are actually compressed. That's why we call dorsi-ventrally flattened. So there are three germ layers here: ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm, and that is why they are called triploblastic organisms. Coelom, again, there is no coelom in this case, right? You have the endoderm, mesenchyme, and the ectoderm, that is your body wall. Now, most of them are aquatic, that is endoparasites. They live as parasites, so they are dependent on the host organism, but they're not going to kill the host organism. So some of them are free living, but many of them are parasites. For example, liver fluke is a parasite, and planaria is going to be free living. Now, digestive system again is going to be incomplete only with a single opening for the mouth and the anus, right? A single opening is going to be present, as you can see here. Now, you have the pharynx, the muscular structure behind the mouth, and that opens in the branched gastrovascular cavity, right? And that is going to help in the process of digestive system. Little bit more advanced compared to the previous one. And you also have the eyes, which simply can detect the presence or the absence of the light. Just eye spots we call it. Very primitive, rudimentary eye. Now, respiratory system is absent, and circulatory system is also going to be absent. Now, reproduction is going to be by asexual mode, that is simply by fragmentation. Now, this image is in class 10, those you have seen, right? They have the regeneration capacity with the help of specialized cells. The planaria can reform the entire structure with the help of the regeneration process. Now, hermaphrodite, both male and female organs are given to the same body. Internal fertilization and development is indirect. That means again there is going to be involvement of a larval stage and many of the other larval stage. So as you can see here, both the male oviduct is there, penis is there, right? Ovary and testis both are there. So both the sex organs are present in the same organism, that is the planaria. Now, here what you see, what is the unique feature? Unique feature is unsegmented dorsoventrally flattened body. As I said in the earlier case, they are flattened from dorsal as well as the ventral side. Dorsiventral flattened is a unique character which is again unsegmented in case of the platyhelminthes. Now, what about the unique feature again? Here, excretion occur through the specialized cells called the flame cells or the protonephridia. Okay, now the protonephridia or the flame cells, they are going to help in two things. One is going to be removal of all the waste materials and also to manage the osmotic concentration or osmoregularity. So that is going to be taken care by the flame cells or the protonephridia. And you can see here, you have the example of the flame cells, which is going to have the nucleus. Then you have the bunch of cilia, the cavity, and the cytoplasmic processes or the extension. That is going to help in the process of excretion. Now, there is, in case the organisms are parasitic form, they have an adaptation. What is that adaptation? They are the hook and the suckers. Now, the suckers are going to help in attachment, and the hooks also going to help in attachment, and they're going to absorb nutrients from the host body to their surface. And in these organisms, because they're parasite, they don't need a well-developed digestive system because they're going to take the already digested simple food from the host organism, right? That is why in these organisms, they need not have an extensive digestive system because they are only getting the food. So examples, we are going to have the Taenia solium, right? Tapeworm. Then you have the fasciola, that is liver fluke, and you are going to have the planaria as the examples, right? So if you are going to summarize, you're going to have the organ system level organization, bilateral symmetry, triploblastic, acoelomate, and most of them are aquatic and parasites. Some of them are free living. In incomplete digestive system because you have a single opening for mouth and the anus. Respiratory system is going to be absent. Circulatory system is going to be absent. Reproduction by asexual method, fragmentation, and they have the ability of regeneration. Internal fertilization, and again they are hermaphrodites. Internal fertilization and larval stage are present. Unique feature is going to be dorsiventral flattened structure, and you have the presence of the flame cells or the proton nephridia that is going to help in the process of excretion. Now, parasites have the hooks and the suckers, and they absorb the nutrients from the host body. Examples: Taenia solium, fasciola, and planaria. I think with that, probably we will be completing this particular chapter for today. Okay, and then in the next class, probably we'll continue with the previous, with the other, the next phylums. Okay, 1 second. How should I get out? Okay. What is the problem? My video.